Do you know I speak elephant?
Okay. Spotlight them.
Hi, I'm Mark Rudolph, President of the Dmrf. Thank you for joining us for the kickoff celebration for Dystonia Zoo Days. I'm joined this evening by Dmrf Executive Director Janet Heischetter. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Mark. Good to see you. Hey, great shirt. It's wonderful to be here. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone. We're so glad you're with us.
For anyone who is new to this, the Dystonia Zoo Day program is a national movement to raise awareness of dystonia and to unite individuals with dystonia and their families. So many people feel isolated because of dystonia, and we want to show that help and support are available. Proceeds from Dystonia Zoo Days support the Dmrf mission to find a cure. My wife and I got involved with the Dmrf when our son was diagnosed at age 8. He went from being a very active child to not being able to easily walk and sometimes needing a wheelchair. Dystonia is a neurological movement disorder that affects people of all ages. Like so many others, we had never heard of dystonia before our son was diagnosed. As parents, we wanted to do something to not only help him, but also help others who were diagnosed with this life-changing disorder. This is why the Dmrf is here, to improve lives by advancing dystonia research and help people and families navigate life with this disorder. Janet, you've been to a number of zoo days over the years. Do you have a favorite part of these events?
I do. But before I go much further in responding to your question, Mark, in case anyone's having technical difficulties, that's usually me. But I just want to let you know that our partners at Swell are happy to help. So send an email to info@swellfundraising.com if you're having any technical problems, and they are ready to follow up with you because we want you to be able to participate in the whole program. So back to your question, Mark. Great question. For me, it's the connections that people make during these events. I don't think I've ever been to an in-person event that at some point someone comes up and shares that they're meeting someone with dystonia for the very first time. And for me, that's really important. It's why we do these events. It can be very, very emotional. And what's great about this year is that you can actually choose to do an in-person event if you're close to one of the 8 locations where we're doing in-person events, or you can participate in the virtual Dystonia Zoo Day like we're doing now, and on Saturday, October 8th, or you can do both. It's really a nice smorgasbord of opportunities and choices. And you can start a team with whether you're participating virtually or participating in person. So we're ready to welcome everyone.
Right. Well, it sounds like there are a lot of options. So Janet, you can probably relate to this. I'm often asked, why zoo events? How do you answer that question?
I get asked that question a lot too. And fortunately for us, we have the experts here to respond to that question. I'm so pleased to be able to introduce Kim Meeker and Karen Flanagan, joining us from Cleveland, Ohio. Karen and her family organized the very first Dystonia Zoo Day in Cleveland in 2012. And this program has now been replicated nationally with great enthusiasm. So Kim, how did your family come up with this idea?
Well, first off, hello everyone from Cleveland. We just finished some rain and the sun is shining, so hopefully it stays that way, and we'll have beautiful weather on Sunday, September 25th for our zoo day. But Karen is the one who thought of the idea. She was the brains behind it. When Karen was diagnosed in her early 20s with rapid onset dystonia Parkinsonism, that's a mouthful if you want to say that one 10 times. She wanted it. First off, it was something for our family that we had never heard of. It was foreign to us. It was foreign to so many people that we talked to. So with the size of the family that we have, she has a brother and we have a very large extended family. This was something where they wanted to be able to support her in some way, shape, or form, and she thought about a walk because it is a movement disorder, and being able to promote that, you know, we can do this together and be supportive of the disease at this point in time. So, and raise that awareness to those that had no idea, like us, right? So,
Did you ever
Um,
imagine?
I'm sorry.
go ahead. No, I was wondering if you ever imagined that your event would develop into something as important as and big as it is, and something that the dystonia community would respond to all over the country.
No, I think we were kind of surprised. You know, we really thought, okay, here we are. We're putting it out there. We're going to give it a try. We're not necessarily sure that we thought it would be a one and done, but for the embracement that the community has had, hospitals, different cities, zoos across the country have taken on, it's been such a wonderful experience for us and for everybody else. It's been a wonderful way to connect with other people that are struggling with the same issues. And I know Karen is heading to, where are you heading? Pittsburgh. She's heading to Pittsburgh, and her siblings one of her siblings might head to Toledo next weekend. So we're trying to make those connections across and continue those connections, you know, for families that are out there struggling.
Did your family have a particular affinity with zoos growing up? You know, it's an interesting thing for me.
Zoos were always a summer event. Zoos are still an event for us, even outside of the dystonia. We're big into the Asian Lantern festivals when they come to Cleveland. We've done the Akron Zoo. I live in the Akron area, so my kids grew up with a zoo pass to the Akron Zoo. So I just think the zoo is one of those places where everybody can go, size, shape, abilities. What? It's very family oriented, you know, in the sense of that. So for us, the zoo was the best place to do it. You can walk it, you can power walk it if you want to. You can spend 45 minutes or you can spend 4 hours. It's just a place where you can enjoy it all the time. So that's kind of how we came across the zoo.
Well, we're very glad that you created this event. It's been impressive to see how the program has grown from your inaugural event, and we'll talk about your plans for this year's event a little later in the program.
Great.
Kim, as Kim said, these events are really about connecting to a community that supports and understands you. And the virtual events like this one create opportunities for people to connect as well. So we encourage everyone to use the chat function on your screen to reach out and make friends. Feel free to share where you're at right now and why you're tuning in, your motivation. Anyone out there from Michigan? That's where I hail from.
How about St. Louis? That's where I grew up, and my dad is still there. Hi, Dad. Tonight, we are kicking off our series of Dystonia Zoo Days that are taking place all over the country in the next few months. We want to share what we have planned between now and October. There are 8 in-person events, as well as the 3rd virtual Dystonia Zoo Day on October 8th, which will be our final event. We're tremendously grateful for the community's support of our virtual Dystonia Zoo Days these past 2 years. These virtual events represented the first time ever that the dystonia community came together on the same day at the same time to promote dystonia awareness and to demonstrate support for those who are battling dystonia and for their families.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. And this year, it's not just a single day, but really, it's like a season of Dystonia Zoo Days. And we're so happy and excited to return to those in-person events, but also don't want to leave anyone out. So the virtual events are just as important. And registering for these events, whether they're in person or the virtual event, is super quick and easy. All the information can be found at the foundation's website, dystonia-foundation.org. I believe it's on the screen right now. You'll see when you go there, the cities are listed for the 8 in-person events, and also a link to take you to register for the virtual Zoo Day on Saturday, October 8th. If you have any questions or any problems at all registering, or maybe you want to buy one of these cool shirts, you can contact us by sending an email to zooday@dystonia-foundation.org, and we'd be really happy to help you.
We want to be sure people know that all donations to teams will be matched this year. Janet, can you explain how that works? This applies to both virtual and in-person teams, right?
Right, it does. So the same incredibly generous anonymous donor who was so impressed by the number of teams who raised funds last year has offered to extend this challenge to the events this year. So for those of you who participated last year and had a team and got donations, thank you. You impressed this wonderfully generous donor, and we're doing it again. So there are 3 easy ways for you to help help us meet this $100,000 challenge. The first is if any team of 10 people signs up. So if you're signing up for the virtual Dystonia Zoo Day, you can sign up for free, 10 people on a team. Or if you're doing an in-person event with 10 people, the Dmrf will receive $100 for each of those teams of 10. If any team signs up 25 people, all registration fees will be matched by this donor. All team donations are matched. So if you have friends and family who are not able to join your team but want to contribute, want to support you by making a donation, their donations will be matched. And we have the entire Dystonia Zoo Day season to do this. So from now all the way through October 8th to really encourage the community to make those donations, build up those teams, and help us reach that $100,000 matching goal.
That's really a great opportunity for us to maximize the funds that we raised this year, and something worth celebrating. We mean it when we say we're working hard to close our doors, to put ourselves out of business when a cure is found. That will be the ultimate celebration. I'd like to take a moment now to acknowledge our national sponsors, Allergan, an AbbVie company, Merz Therapeutics, and Ipsen Biopharmaceuticals for their continued support of this program. We have a message from our friends at Allergan, an AbbVie company.
Hi, my name is Glenn Curran. I'm Vice President of US Therapeutics at AbbVie. AbbVie is proud to be a longtime supporter of the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation, or Dmrf, and a national sponsor of their annual Zoo Days. Dmrf helps bring people together to support patients with dystonia, raise disease awareness, and promote research in its mission to find a cure. We are thrilled to announce that Dmrf Zoo Days will return this year as an in-person event. It will be held in 8 cities across the country from August to October, and we plan on being there. We are fully aware of how dystonia can impact the lives of patients, their families, and their caregivers. Together with Dmrf, AbbVie wants the dystonia community to know that they are not alone. Please join us in the fun, and we look forward to seeing you at the zoo. Thank you for including AbbVie in these very special days.
Well, thank you to our national sponsors. We're grateful for your support of these events. We're so lucky today to be joined by many friends from across the country who are big fans and supporters of Dystonia Zoo Days. First up is Dee Lindy, who is very, very busy right now. Dee will kick off our first in-person event this Saturday on August 20th, hosting the 5th Portland Dystonia Zoo Day. Congratulations on that milestone. Dee is joined by planning committee members Erin Stimson and Tina Beatty, who we also want to thank for their efforts in developing this event. Dee, thank you for all you do, but specifically, I think tonight for the work that you've put into developing the event on Saturday. What is it about these events, do you think, that makes people want to come back every year?
Well, I'd like to think it's my charming personality, but I really think it's Erin's brilliant smile and her pink hair that makes people want to come back. but seriously, we haven't met in person in 2 years, and this will be our first time meeting in person in 2 years. So we're all very excited about that. We've all been feeling isolated, not only because dystonia can make you feel isolated, but then we had COVID, and so it's been real difficult for a lot of people. So I think this event is going to be a super event because we're meeting in person and we can make new friends. And I know that there are people coming to this event who, like you said earlier, Janet, have never met other people with dystonia. So it's a great way to connect to the community. It's a great way to have fun. It's a great way to raise funds and awareness for dystonia. And I think that's what it's all about. It's just community and just getting together and doing good for others. That's
Yeah.
the bottom line.
Yeah. Well, thank you for creating that community and that opportunity. And for being one with the elephants. I think it's important that we recognize that not everyone can pull that off, but you can. So thank you for that.
Well, my alias is Ellie Fant, so I'm Ellie Fant.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But you started these. You picked up the idea, obviously, from the Flanagan family, and you started the Portland Walk. What is it that drives you to want to do these?
Well, I think the first thing is that when I first got dystonia, like 25, 27 years ago, people reached out to me. And now I'm going to cry because people reached out to me and were so kind. And I just want to pay it forward.
You are, Dee. You absolutely are. Thank you so much for all you do.
Dee and Aaron and Tina, thank you congratulations for all your hard work. And I echo Janet's sentiments. Thank you so much. It's so appreciated. It must feel a little like you're planning a reunion, bringing everyone back together again. But I want to just wish you to have a great time on Saturday.
Thanks. We're planning on it.
And I would say that there's still time to register for Portland. We got a call this morning from somebody who wanted to know about the Portland event. So you can register at the foundation's website, or you can register on site at the zoo Saturday, August 20th. The event will begin at 9 a.m. So please come one, come all. It's a wonderful way to give support and to be supported.
Yes.
And just so 1 week later, on August 27th, we will have the second Toledo Dystonia Zoo Day. Kristen Singley is behind this event, and you may recognize her from her behind-the-scenes visits with the zookeepers the last couple of years in our virtual Dystonia Zoo Days. Kristen, thank you so much. We also want to thank Kristen and her family for again arranging for a look behind the scenes at the Toledo Zoo. We're about to head over there for a look at a very interesting creature called a tamandua, which I can't wait to see. I did Google it, I have to confess. Very interesting little guy. But first, back by popular demand, is the fabulous Lolly Lardpop and Leslie Carrera Rudolph, who will introduce us to some new friends at the Los Angeles Zoo. Take it away, Lolly.
Guess where I'm at? That's right, I'm looking at a meerkat. Aren't they magical? You know what? There's more behind the scenes fun. I can't wait to talk to one of our zoologists or animal experts. Wonder what his name is.
Hello, Dystonia Foundation. We want to welcome you to the Toledo Zoo today. My name is Alex, and we are going to be seeing a really cool animal kind of behind the scenes today to celebrate all that everybody does for the organization. We're excited to welcome you to the zoo this fall, as well as a couple other opportunities virtually. Today we have a special experience with the keeper. We have Brian Kohler, who is here and is going to be answering some questions and showing us a really cool animal. With that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Brian, who's going to tell us a little bit about our animal, and then we'll zoom the camera in to get a good look at her.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian. I am one of the keepers in the small mammal department here at the Toledo Zoo. And the animal that we're going to be talking about today is the southern tamandua. It's also known as a lesser anteater. They're found down in Central and South America in the rainforest. They spend about half their time up in the trees and half their time on the ground. And they spend most of their day just looking for ants and termites. They're really built just to do that. They have very, very strong forearms that are perfect for ripping open ant hills and termite mounds. And they have a 12-inch sticky tongue, which is perfect for just slurping up those ants and termites. The tongue is sticky. Their mouth only opens just wider than the tongue so that they can slurp them in. They don't have any teeth. They just have a hard palate at the top of their mouth that they can kind of crush the insects with.
All right, I do have some questions for you about the tamandua. Let's see, what time of day are they most active?
So they don't really spend a certain time of day. They tend to go in 8-hour cycles where they'll be asleep for 8 hours and then they'll be up for 8 hours and then they'll be asleep for 8 hours. They don't rely on their eyesight very much. She actually has pretty small eyes for an animal her size. They prefer to rely on their hearing. As you can see, she has pretty big ears, and they have an excellent sense of smell. So they will just go around smelling, hearing things, looking for the ants. Usually in their territory, will have 15 to 20 ant hills and termite mounds that they know about, and they don't just like ransack each one. Instead, they'll just spend 10, 15 minutes eating at one, then they'll go to another. That way they always have a source of food and they're not destroying each ant or termite mound.
All right, Sarah, I don't know if you want to get a look up at her claws maybe a little bit. What do they use those claws for?
So those claws are used twofold. So like the one reason they have them is for climbing. They can climb really well. Those claws are great for climbing to help them get up and down trees. They're also used to rip open those termite ant mounds. They're really strong. Some of those termite mounds are as strong as concrete, so they use those nails to get into them, and then they can use them to rip them open.
She's got a pretty cool tail too. Anything special about her tail?
They do. They have what's called a prehensile tail. So it acts almost as another arm. It's strong enough that they can hold their entire body weight by their tail. I've seen them hanging by just their tail. And it's really, really fun to watch them do that. They can use it almost immediately. To them, it is another hand.
She does walk kind of funny. Is there a reason for that?
There is. That is because of those front claws. Those front claws are so long that if she walked flat-footed, those claws would poke her in the palms, which wouldn't be really good for her because it would poke holes into them. So instead they walk on the sides of their feet, and when you really watch them walk, what they do is they actually have little pads on the side of their feet that act as their foot for when they're walking on the ground. When they're in the trees, it's not that big a deal because they can kind of cup the nails around the tree branches.
What is she eating right now?
Right now she's eating some little crickets. They have to be little ones. She can't eat the big ones because they don't fit into her mouth. It's really hard to feed insects to animals because they, as they are right now, they tend to just run away. So she gets crickets and some other insects that don't move as much throughout the day in her diet, but most of her diet's what's called a pellet. It's called insectivore pellets made for animals that just eat insects.
What are some of her closest relatives?
Well, she has one of the strangest families of animals that there is. So tamanduas and other anteaters, there are 3 different types of anteaters. There's the giant anteaters, which are 6 feet long and live always on the ground. And then the tamanduas, which there's 2 or 3 species of tamanduas, and they live, like I said, half on the ground, half in the trees. And then there's a species that's the size of about the size of my hand, called a silky anteater, which lives wholly up in the trees. But their closest relatives away from that are sloths, who also have really long claws, and then armadillos. And again, armadillos have really long claws, they have long tongues that eat the ants. So they do match up, they just look a little little strange as a group of animals.
Great. And what are some of the predators in the wild?
So in the wild, they don't have a lot of predators. A lot of animals just don't want to mess with them because they're a lot stronger than they look. But in the wild, things like jaguars would eat them. Harpy eagles would eat them if they could get them, if they see them and can get them. If they're too close to the water, caiman and crocodiles might. But beyond that, the only other one would be us humans. Some of the people that live in the rainforests around them would sometimes hunt them, not necessarily for their meat, but for their tails. The sinews and stuff that make their tails so strong for holding stuff, they would use to make rope.
And a couple questions just for you, Brian. First of all, why did you want to become a zookeeper?
It's one of those things I've always loved going to zoos and animals. I lived near a zoo growing up, so I spent every weekend almost at the zoo. And then once I was about 12 years old, I was able to get into the volunteer program at the zoo. Volunteered for 5 or 6 years, and then was working in and out of the zoo throughout college, and it just happened to work out for me. But I've always loved zoos.
And last question, if you were to visit the Toledo Zoo, what exhibit would you not want to miss?
Well, so throughout my childhood and growing up, I've always loved otters, so that's something to always go and see. They're usually up and moving, they're fun to see. But my absolute favorite animal at the Toledo Zoo to really go and see, just because you don't see them often and they're super cool, are the cassowaries. They're just like modern dinosaurs, and they're just extremely interesting animals.
All right, well, thank you, Brian, and thanks to all of you for joining us. We hope to see you at the Dystonia Days at the zoo this fall, as well as a couple other opportunities virtually. Thanks, everybody.
That was great. Thank you, Lolly, and thank you, Leslie. And thank you, Kristen, and our friends at the Toledo Zoo. And thanks to the Taman Dua as well, who allowed us to invade their space. I think as most people know, September is National Dystonia Awareness Month. And these events, whether in person or virtual, are designed to raise awareness of dystonia while also raising support for dystonia research. We have a number of in-person events scheduled for September. Mark, do you want to tell us about some?
Yep. Thanks, Jana. Yeah, that's right. There are several events scheduled for September. The New York Bronx Dystonia Zoo Day has been renamed in memory of Dmrf board member Pam Sloat, who we lost earlier this year to cancer. Pam was an inspiration to me and so many others in our community. Under her leadership, the Bronx Dystonia Zoo Day became one of the Dmrf's most successful events. We hope those of you in the area will join us on Saturday, September 10th. My daughter will be leading a team at that event. A week later, on September 17th, my friend and fellow Dmrf board member Paula Schneider, along with committee members Linda Klein and Mary Letson, will host the inaugural Boston Dystonia Zoo Day. We have something special planned for both New York and Boston. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the discovery of the DYT1 gene, which has led to so many advancements for dystonia. We're pleased to present Changing Lives Through Science Awards to the researchers who were involved in this groundbreaking discovery at these two events. These awards will be presented to Dr. Susan Bressman at the Pam Sloat Bronx Dystonia Zoo Day event in New York, and to Drs. Zandra Brakefield and Lori Ozelius at the Dystonia Zoo Day in Boston.
Right, and I would just like to offer congratulations to Drs. Bressman, Brakefield, and Ozelius on their work and thank them for that. I also think, Mark, it's important just to note today is Pam Sloat's birthday. And I think she would be really pleased to see that we are continuing to bring the community together and to give support and to receive support. So I think we're all filled with Pam's spirit. So the fun will keep on going in September with the Pittsburgh Dystonia Zoo Day scheduled for Sunday, September 18th. This has always been one of our largest events, and it looks like this year we'll have teams that are again going to break some records in both the numbers of people on the team and the amount of money that they're raising. So way to go, Pittsburgh. Congratulations and thanks to Pittsburgh event organizers Ed Slowinski, Mary Ray Nee, Tara and Chris Thorley. You guys are terrific. So thank you. The following weekend on September 25th, we will be going back to where it all began for the Cleveland Dystonia Zoo event. We met Kim and Karen earlier. The Flanagan family will be hosting their 9th Dystonia Zoo Day, which is incredibly impressive. And we're joined today by a member of Dmrf's Medical and Scientific Advisory Council, who, in addition to being a dystonia champion for his patients, has been a dedicated supporter of Dmrf events, including the Cleveland Zoo Day. I think he's a big fan of the Zoo Day program. Dr. Asif Sheikh, we are honored that you could be with us today. You are a former clinical fellow, a former grant recipient. You are the founder and co-editor-in-chief of the brand new scientific journal Dystonia. You've brought your family to the Cleveland Zoo Day a number of times. First of all, thank you for all of that. How do you describe these events to colleagues?
First of all, thank you. Thank you for the honor. It's indeed, it's very important to me. I view this and I describe this event to my colleagues, my fellows, trainees, and my peers as an event which allows me to reconnect with my patients, reconnect with my colleagues, reconnect with you all who do a lot of important work for dystonia. And they view me as my patients, for example, they view me as in a different form. Instead of somebody who is wearing a white coat and tie, instead wearing jeans and a t-shirt, just same color as theirs. And my kids and my family, they get to meet them. And for my kids, it is also important, and they're always very excited about it because they get to know that who I work with professionally, who are my patients, and how we do what we do to help other people who are suffering from this condition. And a lot of them are kids who are their age, and how important it is for me to sit and write a grant instead of playing with them, or going to work instead of playing with them. So it's kind of like, it's almost like dystonia. It's a network of multiple different people and thinking together and connecting together. So that's how I view it, and that's how I explain that to other people.
Yeah, well, it's funny, you know, we've talked about this as a program of connecting, right? And thinking of it, of the patient community connecting with others so that they don't feel isolated, because no one should go through dystonia alone. But you've raised some really important points, which is it's an opportunity for people to connect to their doctors in a different way, and for you to connect with them in a different way, which is also really important. And for your kids, you know, to be able to see the meaningfulness of your work, which is really, really wonderful. I mean, on behalf of everybody, thank you for all the work that you do. Dystonia is a pretty lousy disorder, but we are really, really lucky to have such smart, dedicated researchers and physicians in this community working on behalf of patients to ease the burden of dystonia. We're really grateful to you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your support.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you for all of the support that you do. I don't know how you do what you do in a day. You are the Energizer Bunny. I don't think you ever sleep. But thank you. Oh,
There's the
okay.
secret.
Doctor's orders, caffeine. Over the last 10 years, we've had many families who have hit the road and attended multiple Dystonia Zoo Days in various cities. And we're so grateful for their attendance, for their support, going the extra mile. I mean, literally going the extra mile. It's really my pleasure to introduce Mackenzie Prater and Carson, members of the Team Carson Strong. Mackenzie and Carter, welcome. Carson, welcome. We're really glad that you're here.
Hello.
tell us a little bit about why it's so important for you to connect with others who have dystonia.
Well, before I took Carson to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital to see Dr. Wu, I really wasn't sure what to think or feel. Even after our first few appointments and his genetic testing and a confirmed diagnosis, I really still wasn't honestly sure how to feel even then. But then my mom shared a link to me, and it was the Cincinnati Zoo Walk for Dystonia, which we first attended in 2017. And when we attended it, I just knew that he was in the right place, right where he needed to be for the future to come. Meeting others just like Carson is not only comforting, but seeing, hearing, and speaking to others does also kind of have a calming sense as well. Like he isn't alone in this journey of him. So ever since then, we have traveled to Cincinnati for every zoo walk, and now we're going to the Toledo Zoo Walk. And in hopes one day we can move it here to Fort Wayne, Indiana, possibly. I just also wanted to thank everybody for supporting Carson throughout this journey, and thank you to the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation as well. Honestly, it's such a great community to be a part of.
Thank you. That we're pleased to have been here for you and for Carson and your family, and thank you for being with us now. Hey, I have a quick question though. How many T-shirts do you guys have?
We have four. We have four so far.
Carson, you're wearing. Carson, do you have a different shirt on this year? Can you show us? Yeah, there you go. Cool. You got that was also a very popular color, that daisy yellow. That's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. Thank you. Thank you both. Before we go on to preview our October events, we're going to hear a message from one of our other national sponsors, MERS Therapeutics.
Hi, my name is Jan Newitz, and I serve as a patient ambassador for MERS Therapeutics, a leader in treatment of movement disorders throughout the world. They have developed a safe and effective neurotoxin which has helped over 3 million people with different indications, including cervical dystonia, which I have had for 48 years. MERS is proud to be a sponsor again of the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation's Zoo Walk, which will be held in person in 8 cities across the country, and also in its fun celebration kickoff event this summer, and in a virtual closing event in the fall. This treatment has allowed me to enjoy a life again and also be involved with supportive dystonia communities, which I feel are so important so that we do not feel that we are alone. So MERS wants to welcome you to this event. Let's do this.
Many thanks to MERS and all of our sponsors. October will bring the fun back home to my backyard. Los Angeles will host a Dystonia Zoo Day on Saturday, October 1st. I'm looking forward to joining our event organizer, Jacqueline Quello, for this great and grand event. And the final in-person event this year will take place the following day on Sunday, October 2nd in the Twin Cities with Shauna and Brad Schmidt. This is the 5th year for this event in the Twin Cities, which is such an accomplishment. Congratulations. If you are in any of these areas, we hope you will plan to get out and join us. These events are so important for building awareness and raising funds for medical research, and they are a lot of fun. As Janet mentioned earlier, the connections that can be made and typically are made at these in-person events are just very meaningful and so satisfying to everybody. But if you're not in the range of our 8 in-person events, you can still participate. We hope you join us on Saturday, October 8th for the 3rd virtual Dystonia Zoo Day and the closing ceremony for our series of events. We have a lot of things planned for that day, and it is a wonderful way to show your support and to feel the support of others. My family and I are planning to do both virtual and in-person events. I mentioned I'll be at the event in Los Angeles, and my daughter has a team at the event in New York. And I'm still so glad we're offering the virtual Dystonia Zoo Day on October 8th.
I agree, Mark. We want anyone, actually everyone, regardless of where they're located, to have the opportunity to be a part of these Dystonia Zoo Days. So we are starting our live broadcast on October 8th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, just to get all those time zones in there. And we have wonderful sessions planned. We're bringing back some fan favorites, like the chat with a zookeeper, a yoga demonstration. And this year we're going to feature some a conversation with some individuals who are pursuing activities that they love despite the challenges that dystonia may present. You'll meet Sydney Peterson, who is a remarkable young woman who won not one, not two, but 3 medals at the Beijing Paralympics earlier this year. She actually medaled in every color. She's remarkable. She developed dystonia in her hand and leg as a child, but it didn't stop her from her love of skiing and pursuing that sport. And many people know Billy Mclaughlin. He is a multi-talented composer and guitarist who amazed all of us with his story of returning to performing after focal hand dystonia threatened to end his career. He will share his story and the wisdom and guidance that Billy has to offer others. Billy is the Dmrf Awareness Ambassador and also a member of the Dmrf Board of Directors. And Sherry Group is a painter and an artist who discovered not only a love for creating art, but how the creation of art has really helped her to cope with a number of chronic diseases, including her dystonia. We'll have the Ask the Expert panel that everyone loves, so you'll have an opportunity to ask questions of world-renowned physicians and researchers. And you can expect some other special guests and new surprises on Saturday, October 8th.
Oh, that sounds like a great lineup, Janet.
Yeah.
In our remaining minutes, I want to introduce a couple more guests. We are joined by Martha Murphy, who has led the Dystonia Support and Advocacy Group of San Diego for well over 30 years, and also serves as the Dmrf's Brain Bank liaison. She also responds to Dmrf email inquiries. Martha, you already do so much for the community, and now you have created the San Diego Strong Team with members of your support group. Thank you very much. Was it easy to set up your team and invite others to join you?
Yes, Mark, it was actually very easy to set up the team and to promote it. We get a link that I can share with people. I put it on my Facebook page, our group's Facebook page. I send it out in emails. I'm constantly reminding people to sign up for, this event, either my team or just the virtual event. Part of it is great because it's free to register. So for people that maybe don't want to spend the money, they can join for free, but t-shirts are only $10 also. You can wear these t-shirts anywhere you go and promote awareness. It doesn't have to just be on virtual zoo day or an in-person zoo event. So you go to the supermarket, you go out and about, Starbucks is one of my favorite places. You can wear it there. And so it just helps to promote awareness. And we definitely need that because it took 12 years before I was diagnosed with dystonia. And I'm sure others are kind of in the same situation. They would like to be diagnosed soon and effective treatments.
Why is supporting the Dmrf so important for you, Martha?
The Dmrf to me is sort of like the whole shebang. It's, it offers support for individuals because it's such an isolating type of a disorder. For those of us who have it, as Janet mentioned earlier, a lot of times no one has ever met someone else with dystonia before. And so if we can help connect people with one another, that's an amazing thing. Research, what would we be without research? I mean, look at all the research projects and funding that the Dmrf has been able to provide. We wouldn't be where we are without the Dmrf for sure, because research is going to be the key for all of us for more effective treatments and ultimately a cure. And then the awareness, like this event, these events that are going on, it's so crucial. So many people have never heard of dystonia before. They've heard of Parkinson's and essential tremor and everything else, but dystonia, it seems to have kind of just not been out there so much. So we need to do everything we can to get the word out to people.
And we're doing that, and we'll keep pushing to do that. So Martha, thank you very much. And thank you, Team San Diego Strong. We'll see you
Thank
again
you.
in October.
Thank you.
So many of our teams come up with the most creative names. Our next guest can explain the story behind perhaps one of my favorite team names. Jillian Johnson, welcome. And for starters, please tell us how Team Liam's Unshakable Ninjas got its name.
Well, this is Liam, and Liam's symptoms started when he was about 5.5 in kindergarten, and we didn't know what had happened. It took 6 months to get a diagnosis of dystonia. And let's see, after 3.5 years, we've had this huge support system growing, and we just decided that we are his ninjas and we're going to fight for him whenever he cannot.
Well, that's terrific. Your team was one of the largest for the virtual events, and your family was an important part of the live broadcast last year. And I understand your family is going to be in person in Pittsburgh, but can you tell us about your favorite aspects of the virtual event and why you are supporting both the in-person and the virtual events this year?
We have friends and family all across the country and across the world. So these virtual events, they really allow our friends and family to participate and help support Liam, even if they can't be there in person. I know Liam, when you were talking about the t-shirts earlier, he was all grinning about this. He loves wearing these to school, and he loves seeing all his teachers and friends have them on. So as I said, our circle is continuously growing because we advocate for him as he wears these shirts and everything that we do. This year for the in-person one in Pittsburgh, we're so excited that Dr. Abel will be joining us as a speaker. Dr. Abel's the one that performed the deep brain stimulation surgery on Liam 2.5 years ago. So we can't even express how grateful we are to that medical team and all of our friends that we've met on this journey.
That's great. It looks like Billy McLaughlin's got a run for his money as it comes to awareness ambassador. Liam may be out there as well. So thank you, Liam, for all of your awareness activities. And Jillian, thank you. Jillian, I couldn't have described the benefits of both programs better. Thank you. Thank you for your family, every member of your team for their support. And thanks to everybody who has shared why the Dystonia Zoo Day program is so important to you. We believe it's an important program for this community. And I just want to remind people that you can send us your photos either with your virtual event t-shirt, these wonderful berry colored t-shirts, or from an in-person event, and we will include them in the live broadcast on October 8th. For those of you who are new to the Dystonia Zoo Days, we hope that our time together you've learned more about the importance of this program and the opportunities to connect with others. For those of you who have already been to an event, we hope you are as excited as we are about our plans this year for in-person and virtual events. All of the information needed for signing up can be found on our website. Please don't forget that any donation can be matched. We want to make this $100,000 matching challenge this year, and we need your help to do it. If you have any questions about getting a team signed up, or you're having challenges in doing that, having questions about that, please feel free to contact us at zooday@dystonia-foundation.org. We'd be happy to help you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. We hope to see many of you at one of our 8 in-person cities this year, and all of you at our 3rd virtual Dystonia Zoo Day on October 8th. Please invite your friends and family to participate. Thank you to our national sponsors, Allergan, an AbbVie company, Merck Therapeutics, and Ipsen Biopharmaceuticals for their continued support of this program. Many thanks as well to our generous anonymous donor who is matching team donations. Before we go, there is just one thing left to say. Dee, will you lead us? And I ask everybody to turn your cameras on. Everybody turn your cameras on. On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Let's do
this.
this.
Thank you,
Yay.
everyone.
Yay!
Hurry up, let's get moving. It's time for the virtual zoo walk. Everybody's dressed in pink and ready to go for October 8th to the Dystonia Zoo Walk. Oh, I'm so excited. You guys look great. Yeah. Excellent choice wearing stripes. Don't be afraid to get your feet wet. We're gonna learn so much. October 8th, join us for the Dystonia Virtual Zoo Walk.